Hello, my YouTube family, and welcome to my channel, Jesse Rhodes. Today, I want to continue discussing the Mandela Effect. I would first like to cover several different theories that are circulating about why things are changing in our reality. Many I have questioned myself, and some I believe to be more possible than others. Then I would like to talk about some new Mandela effects I have recognized here just recently. Some I stumbled upon while watching other YouTubers' Mandela Effect videos. I give a shout out to Moneybag73 for bringing up some of these in his Mandela Effect voting video series. Check out his channel as well and show him some respect. To begin, let's start with the theory that the world we once knew, for those who remember things differently, came to an end on the night of December 21st, 2012. This is also when the Mayan calendar came to an end. Some people feel that we shifted to another reality, another body, and another consciousness. They believe that this reality is very similar, somewhat different from the one we used to call home. This is why many products or stores have different logos now. Names have changed in terms of how they are spelled, or logos are not spelled the same way, or have dropped a letter or two. Some even experience personal issues with loved ones not being the way they used to be, or if a loved one tells a story about their past, for example, it's different from what the family members remember it being before. The Mayans even said from documentary about their calendar ending that we would awake to a new consciousness, and the veil would be lifted. We would have new knowledge and be completely renewed. Truly, they never believed the world was going to end for them. They just figured we would enter into a new era of knowledge. This has helped me to speculate a couple of strong arguments with this theory that are as followed, and I would like you to tell me what you think of these. Number one, the veil has been lifted and maybe we are seeing things for what they really are. Maybe the Target logo always had one circle and a dot on the inside instead of two circles and a dot on the inside. Maybe it was Sally Field instead of Sally Fields. Maybe it has always been life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. Maybe the ones that remember the way things are spelled or said now as always being that way are the ones that woke up earlier than 2012 per se. This argument holds up, especially if some still haven't shifted yet. I remember Skechers still having a T in it back in 2014, and not long after seeing it again it had changed. This could explain why there is residual evidence in newspapers of spelling the product or name the way we once remembered it. But when we look at the old photo of a product or the old text of a name, apparently the change we've seen has always been that way. Residual evidence is excellent to have because it shows we still exist in the same world. We are just awakening to new knowledge and still have some of the old knowledge coming with us. This argument can still be heavily debated, but it is a good food for thought. This is heavily based on the Mayans' belief. I went by this argument. Number two, we completely shifted into another reality because our world came to an end simply on the night of December 21st, 2012, as everyone thinks. This one is similar to our home. Just names, product changes, memories, etc. have shifted some. This is an incredible argument that is hard to prove. Plus, we are not God and cannot make this argument valid. However, not being God makes it even more mysterious. String theory is getting closer to being proved realistic, and if God can do anything, who is to say that He didn't shift us into another dimension to save our lives from the death of the old planet? This argument can go on, so let's move forward. Which one do you think is more possible? I'm not sure myself, but it still makes you think. Some believe that it is time travel. This one I find to be actually intriguing. This one I am also heavily skeptical on. But I once thought that it might be possible. Many suggest that somebody is going back in time and changing the spelling on products, changing the way names are spelled for celebrities, and rewriting history somewhat slightly different than we remember it being. I honestly do not think that we have invented time travel yet like many others do, and I have heard and have a hard time getting behind the fact that if we did, why would somebody want to go back in time and do these type of changes? If the government was hiding time travel from us, seems like they would use it to get more important stuff done than just rewriting our memories. And it seems like the people or the person doing it would want to fix their own life instead of making us all go crazy. I have no arguments for this one, mainly because I no longer believe it to be a possibility. Now, what do you think about this one? Am I being too conservative? If food for thought on this, one that may make you question it. Why would somebody go back in time, interrupt creation or evolution, for example, of the body, and try to change its anatomy? Our anatomy has changed dramatically. How would somebody change that if it is a natural process that happened over billions of years? Just think about it. Okay, moving on. Another theory here is, and this is some that famous people believe, so does your everyday average Joe, that we are living in a simulation. Everything we are experiencing is computer simulated, and nothing is what we think it is. This would explain why products are changing in terms of spelling, logos are changing, people's lives are different, or are changing, etc. It does seem to be a more logical and quick explanation as to why all this is happening. Maybe the one running our simulated program has gotten tired of seeing things the same and has decided to change them. Maybe she changed the programming. Some people made them remember that the changes he or she made has always been that way. And some of the others, he decides to let them remember the old things. Maybe he or she is playing a game and wants to see them debate and fight. Maybe the entity running the simulation is an alien. Our lives could be an experiment to them. Or we are all each being played by an alien, which might explain some of the crazier situations we have in our lives. It's hard for me to get behind this theory, mainly because it puts into question all of my ethics. It would suck to find out that you have been living and surviving in something that is not even realistic, except the individuals running the experiment or playing the video game. What do you guys think about this one? It would be a probable explanation for why so many changes are going on in our reality. Is it really possible, though? I'm going to cover two more theories real quick, and then I will move on and discuss some of the new Mandela effects for me. One of the theories is that we just converged with another dimension of our planet, which explains the slight changes we are seeing, nothing to do with 2012. The second and last theory is that all of these changes are related to the devil, and he is the one doing them through witchcraft. Is it possible that we merged with another dimension? If we did, then it would have to be two different dimensions. There seems to be three different memories of the death of a person or the name of a restaurant. For example, I always remember J-I-F Jiff being Jiffy, J-I-F-F-Y, when I was a kid. However, when I was 15 and went grocery shopping with family, I remember it being spelled just J-I-F-F, just Jiff with two F's, instead of the Y. I thought maybe they just dropped the last letter. Now it is just Jiff with one F. Nelson Mandela's death, for example, some remember him dying in prison in the late 80s, while some others claim he died in the 90s, but now most remember him getting out of prison, becoming the president of South Africa, then dying in the year 2013. Sounds like a list of threes, and there are people out there who remember it the old way, like me, who remember it the new way, and it has never changed for them. People who also remember it always being the third way. Could CERN be responsible for the emergence of three different realities? Could have the Hadron Collider caused all of this? Many people blame CERN for what is happening. Residual evidence still existing is also proof that realities can merge together because you still have a tidbit of reality residue left over from our old home. Last but not least is a theory that involves the spiritual side. I do believe in God. However, I'm not sure if it has anything to do with the Mandela Effect. I think some Christians want to believe it because it makes them feel more comfortable that a bad seed is causing the problem and they know God will take care of it one day. I think most of them are afraid to open their minds to the unknown and just want to leave it in God's hands. They know that believing in extra dimensions is wrong or that a calendar coming to an end means the end of the world. There is nothing wrong with this, but we are talking about the God of the universe. He is just that, God of the universe. How do we know that we are the only ones out there, and what if God created more than just one version of us? There is nothing wrong with asking these questions, and in a way, it brings us even closer to an answer. I believe that the government could have been involved in all these changes. Do you think they could have taken the old photos of how we once remembered a product and put the new ones in, making us go crazy, thinking we are losing our memories? This one is highly unlikely due to the fact that millions of people remember the new looks or new spelling always being that way for years. If the government were to accomplish a means to meet their end, they must have some pretty impressive mind-altering technology we don't know about to change people's memories. Now on to the Mandela Effects. I will now discuss these. These are the ones that have affected me, the ones that I have noticed here lately. When did Times Square, as I remember it, become Times Square? Sadly, I just realized this Mandela Effect when playing the new Spider-Man game on PS4. Times Square is how I always used to say it, and how I remember it on TV. Times Square, just does not sound right to me, and is very difficult to say. You heard me repeat it. Number 2, shout out to Moneybag73 for this find. He did Selsum, SELSUM Blue, the dandruff shampoo, becomes Selsun Blue, SELSUN. Ask me about it or how to spell it, I would have used an M at the end. Selsum is always how I remember saying it growing up, and how I always saw the product on TV advertised and spelled. Number 3, another shout out to Moneybag73. When did Gilligan's hat go from white to tan? When I was a kid, every day after school, I would come home and watch Gilligan's Island. His hat was always white for me. I never remember him being tan. You can say I'm an old soul trapped in a young body. Number 4, I thought Billy Graham, the famous evangelical pastor, died back in 2012. I remember coming home one day and my mom was playing his funeral on TV. It was broadcasted everywhere on television. I always thought he had died then. My mom was watching his funeral on TV. When I found out he had not died a few years back, I couldn't believe it. Apparently he died on February 21st of 2018. Number 5. I thought that Muhammad Ali died when I was a teenager, like 10 or 13 years ago. When I heard about his recent death in 2016, it was weird because I thought he was already gone, which is why I moved on and forgot all about him. Still weirds me out to this day. What about you? 6. As mentioned earlier, it was always Sally Fields, Fields for me. I never recall her last name being without the S. Number 7. My late father was a big Superman fan. I remember the actor Christopher Reeves, spelled Reeves. Reeves. Don't recall his name being without the S at the end. Christopher Reeve just sounds weird to me. Great. When did our skulls behind the eye socket get bone in them? Our skulls were always hollow behind the eyes with nothing there. I learned this when I was in grade school, and we even had a skeleton to prove it. But now there is bone behind the eyes to support them. Number 9, a newer one to me is that apparently there are multicolored squirrels that exist. Has this always been an animal in our existence? I only remember learning about regular colored squirrels and flying squirrels. Please correct me if I am wrong on this. Number 10. It was always daylight savings. S-A-V-I-N-G-S. Savings time for me. It always used to say that on the calendar. Apparently, it has always been daylight saving time. Go back and watch an episode of Family Ties, the pilot episode of season 1 to be exact, and you will hear Mrs. Keaton say, daylight savings time. Reality residue, could it be? I appreciate all of you listening to my Mandela Effect video part 2. I will be posting new Mandela Effect videos every Thursday, so be sure to like and subscribe to my channel. Do not forget to hit the notification button so you know when my new videos are released and ready to watch. Hang in there and do your best to enjoy life regardless of all that is changing. If you have any Mandela effects to share, go ahead and post them in the comments. Thank you guys, and see you next week.